reconvene the meeting. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Here.
Attorney Murphy.
Present.
Mr. Collins.
Here.
Ms. Gresham.
Ms. Gresham sends her regrets. She's a bit under the weather, Barbara. We hope you're feeling better.
Absent. Ms. Hurst.
I think she might be coming online, if I'm correct.
That's what she said.
Okay.
Absent. Ms. Monroe-Naylor.
Present.
Mayor Sarno.
Present. We can all please rise for a moment of silence and like to dedicate it to Josiah's grandfather, Reverend Louis Ramirez. All very sorry in his passing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. If you haven't seen it yet, thank you, Azelle Murphy Cavan and team, the Springfield educator is out there telling about all the good things going on in our Springfield public school system, especially with our students. From all the school committee members, happy Juneteenth. We'll be doing our ceremonies tomorrow at 1:30, flag raising at City Hall and the concert at Symphony Hall. Everybody's more than welcome. And I know we'll probably say something at the end of it, but to all the students and their families and teachers and staff, have a great, fun and learning, safe summer on that. So with that, I'll move to approval of the minutes to approve the minutes of school committee special meeting on May 22nd, 2025. Any questions or comments? Hearing motion made by Vice Chair Naylor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Collins. Roll call vote required. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Attorney Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Collins.
Yes.
Ms. Gresham. Absent. Ms. Hurst. Absent. Ms. Monroe-Naylor.
Yes.
Mayor Sarno.
This more than sufficient votes, matter passes. Thank you. A vote to approve. We had another meeting. Vote to approve minutes of the school committee's regular meeting on May 22nd, 2025. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll if there's no questions or comments. Hearing none. Excuse me, motion. I jumped the gun there.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Collins, second by Vice Chair Naylor. One of those days. Mr. Clerk, now you can please call the roll. My misstep there.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Attorney Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Collins.
Yes.
Ms. Gresham. Absent. Ms. Hurst. Absent. Ms. Monroe-Naylor.
Yes.
Mayor Sarno.
Yes, more than sufficient votes, matter passes. Thank you. Voting items A, to approve the new science course, sustainable building engineer. And I believe we have William Decker, Ron St. Amand, and Assistant Superintendent Terry Poe. Come on down.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Questions or comments? You want a presentation at all?
Oh, is there?
Excuse me, Mr. Gonzalez.
I'm
We
sorry.
might want to know about
Good.
that.
Oh, I read the syllabus. I thought it was great.
Well,
And I did watch the subcommittee meeting, so I think they answered everything.
Quick draw McGraw there. Let me turn it over to Superintendent Dr. Denault, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. So as was stated, this did go through subcommittee. It's an amazing opportunity to support a new career pathway that is coming online at Renaissance. This will provide students with authentic science investigation hands-on experience, and it will be the first course in a series of courses to build out that pathway. Principal Wright is here, as well as Director Ron St. Amand and Assistant Superintendent Terry Poe, if you all have any questions or need additional information.
Thank you, Principal Wright. I'm sorry. Any questions or comments?
I'll second your motion. You already made a motion.
All right, motion made by Mr. Gonzalez, seconded by Mr. You guys are off the hook. Seconded by Mr. Collins. Roll call. If there's no discussion, comments, roll call vote is required. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Attorney Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Collins.
Yes.
Ms. Gresham. Absent. Ms. Hurst. Absent. Ms. Monroe-Naylor.
Yes.
Mayor Sarno.
Yes, more discussion about this matter.
Just so the,
Thank you.
because this was presented
Oh, yeah.
to the subcommittee and it was presented in great detail, which I'm not on the committee, but I watched it. So that's why I,
That's a good point Mr. Collins brings up. We periodically bring that up, that a lot of times you'll see us gavel things through with a vote, usually an affirmative vote. A lot of the hard work is done in subcommittee, hours and hours of work with the school committee members and the chairs of those subcommittees. So I'm glad you clarified that. Okay, B is a vote to vote on whether to approve request for proposal disposition redevelopment of the Harena Community School. We're looking forward to building a new school. And I'll turn that over to Superintendent Dr. Denal, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I echo your excitement. We are looking forward to building a brand new, beautiful school down where Harena Community School currently is, or in that neighborhood. And we know that there is a request for proposal, and Peter Garvey from the city, as well as Chief Pat Roach, are both here to clarify that RFP and answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Denal. Again, I want to thank Bob the Builder, Pete Carey, my Director of Capital Assets, a great job, and Pat Roach, Mr. Moneyman there. We are looking forward to this. I know this will mean a lot of your district area there, and we're committed to putting it in the North End area. But in the meantime, we'd like to see if we can get some proposals and possibly get this on the tax rolls again. So I don't know if there's any questions or comments on it. The gentlemen are here.
Yeah, it did, Mr. Chairman, it did move through building and maintenance subcommittee. And we did work through some clarifiers. And I think it's important for the public's knowledge and also for the committee's knowledge with your indulgence, Mr. Chairman, if Mr. Garvey and or Mr. Roach can just give us a highlight once again of what the proposition is. The way that it was explained in the subcommittee is that this is a proposal for someone to come in, be able to redevelop that school building on Bernie Avenue, offering us either fair market value and or a swap of land in which we can develop a brand new school. But again, if there's anything else that I missed, I think it's important to provide that high level overview so folks know what the RFP is.
Pete?
Yeah, I think you.
yeah.
nailed the
Yeah, well, I don't know if I missed any details that you wanted to add.
No, it's for going out to try to buy 5 acres. 5 acres is really our baseline for the school, so that's what we're looking for. So building B is 5 acres. We're looking for a land swap or fair market value for the property, so.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, now, is this the first time we've engaged in this type of RFP proposition for a school, a new school development?
Well, we've done 3 schools in the last 12 years that I've been here, and this is the first one. We've done Article 97s. We were fortunate enough to have property that was in the school department's possession. So it's a unique way to try to generate some excitement about getting, if that is exciting, about getting some property to build a new school. It's the new schools. Right now, we're scheduled to turn the school over in 2030. So and that's moving pretty quickly. So if we have to go out and find land, it just keeps moving that goalpost back, and that's not what really what we want. Every time we move the goalpost back a little bit, it just costs more.
Cost will go up. And the Article 97 was when we had, you always have to replace parkland. And Springfield's sort of land poor, but I gave my word to the community. We want to keep that school in the North End. So we have limited resources on it. So we're trying to be as creative as ever. And I'm very thankful to the Mass School Building Authority. We've had a great relationship. Nearly $1 billion of newer rehab schools, and we want to continue to do that. I think the next on the hit list will be my old alma mater, White Street and Kensington Avenue School combo on that. So, but I appreciate the indulgence and the questions on this, but we want to move forward and strike while the iron's hot.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
So I will second that, having read the entire proposal myself, being the nerd that I am. But I also dealt with a lot of 30B proposals when I was with the city for 10 years. So this is well done. Nice effort, guys.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you. Motion made by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Collins. Roll call vote is required. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Attorney Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Collins.
Yes.
Ms. Gresham, absent. Ms. Hurst, absent. Ms. Renault Naylor,
Yes.
Mayor Sarno.
Yes, board is official votes, matter passes. And again, a lot of work being done in the subcommittee. Thank you, Guy. C, vote to approve expenditure of $20,000 from the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, DESE, Computer Science Professional Development Devices Grant, Pat Roach, Assistant Superintendent Terry Pohl, Rachel Miller. I'll turn it first over to Superintendent Dr. Denal, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This too also passed subcommittee. It's a great opportunity for us to receive funds from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education to further develop our computer science by making sure that we purchase the up-to-date devices as well as provide professional development for our science teachers.
Thank you, Dr. Denal. Any questions or comments?
Just one comment, Mr. Mayor.
Vice Chair Naylor, please.
One of the questions that I did ask when this was in subcommittee is if this was a trainer model, so that we understand how the information that will be learned by these staff in this particular sessions will be able to benefit the rest of the students in the schools. And so I was told, yes, that this is a trainer model. I was also informed that there will be space made available for those individuals to provide those trainings to the necessary individuals, which I think has been a problem in the past, and it was a concern for me. But we're really happy to know that there's some infrastructure in place so that we can make sure that it's not just people showing up to a conference in the summer, but it's going to continue to permeate throughout the schools.
Thank you, Vice Chair Naylor. Any questions or comments on that?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gonzalez. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Naylor. Roll call vote is required. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Attorney Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Collins.
Yes.
Ms. Gresham, absent. Ms. Hurst, absent. Ms. Renault Naylor,
Yes.
Mayor Sarno.
That's four than sufficient votes. This matter passes. Thank you very much. D is vote to approve the FY 2026 tuition rates for public day and alternative school programs listed. And Michael Eaton and Isaac Campos Torres is here, but I'll turn it over to Superintendent Dr. Denal, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. This also cleared subcommittee. These are the tuition rates for fiscal year 2026 for our public day and alternative school programs. As you can see in the memo that is provided for you, those rates are listed there, and Pat Roach is here if you have any questions.
Any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
my question is, how did we arrive at these daily tuition rates?
Thank you, Scott. Mr. Roach,
And
please.
what's the math behind those
Superintendent.
numbers?
This is the actual cost per pupil to run each one of these programs. So we costed out exactly what the expenses are and we divide it by the amount of pupils in the school. That's how we came up with it.
Very well, thank you. I'll make a motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Motion
I'll
on the
second.
floor by Mr. Gonzalez, seconded by Attorney Murphy. If there's no other questions or comments, Mr. Clerk, roll call vote is required. Please call the roll.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Attorney Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Ms. Gresham, absent. Ms. Hurst, absent. Ms. Renault Naylor,
Yes.
Mayor Sarno.
Yes, board is official votes, motion passes. Thank you. E is a vote to approve appropriation for carryover and other surplus funds in the amount of $2,000,000, $9,985.38. Pat is right on the money. To fund investments on attached list, and again, Pat Roach is here, always assisted by Mike Eaton and Isaac Campos Torres. Superintendent, Dr. Denal, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. As you just stated, Pat is right on the money, and it's because of the careful and meticulous budget process that we implement here year after year. We are able to have a small amount of carryover funds for a variety of reasons, and Pat Roach has delineated items that we desperately need to purchase. These are often one-time funds that we can spend on all of these items that go directly to supporting students. If you take a look, it's overwhelmingly academic, as well as other areas that go directly to supporting student learning outcomes.
Thank you, Dr. Denal. Any questions or comments of Dr. Denal and or Pat Roach?
Just a comment, Mr. Mayor.
Vice Chair Nelson?
One of the things that I was really happy to see, and I mentioned this in subcommittee, is that we did include uniforms for girls. And that's been a concern, for the last year at least. I know I heard several, young people have reached out wanting new uniforms. And they're like, we don't ever get new uniforms. And I'm like, well, we're gonna make sure that doesn't happen again. So I'm really appreciative to Pat's team under the leadership of, Mr. Roach and also, Dr. Denal, that we were able to make sure that's something that we didn't overlook this year. Because our girls are important. Girl power.
Right. Sports boom. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
It's just a comment. Oh, go ahead. Bill.
Mr. Collins?
Just a comment that, and I say this every year, that
I know what you're gonna say. I'm glad you said.
right. I mean, the superintendent said we have a small amount of money. It's $2 million. The public listening might go, small amount of money. We have a $500 million budget. And we project that, the finance department prepares and helps us project that budget 15 months in advance of now. Spending every single dime during a budget that large doesn't always happen. This is money that didn't get utilized at the time. It's, what is it, a 0.5% of the budget, maybe?
Right.
And so we utilize it for other good purposes, but I just don't,
Yeah.
I want to always make sure the public doesn't think there's some stash of money sitting out there. There isn't. It's all in the budget, and this is just monies that could be spent on time and now are being spent on these purposes.
Like the budget, I think, was 671 million on the school side. I'm 350. We're almost $1 billion budget.
That's right.
But I'm glad you said that because people say, geez, it's not extra money.
No.
And it's good financial planning too.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made by Mr. Gonzalez. There's a second.
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Naylor. Roll call vote is required. Mr. Clerk, please call a roll.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Attorney Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Collins.
Yes.
Ms. Gresham, absent. Ms. Hurst, absent. Ms. Rono Naylor.
Yes.
Mayor Sarno.
Yes, more than sufficient votes. Matter passes. Thank you. F is to approve an amended building permit policy. And I know that through Superintendent Dr. Denal, Pat Roach, and Ricardo Gary are here. Superintendent Denal.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. So I believe this just passed subcommittee.
Yeah.
It did meet the expectations of equitable access to the community. It did go through subcommittee, and I believe a great deal of work has been put into this to ensure that our community members do have equitable access to our buildings and our fields.
Thank you, Dr. Denal. And I want to thank the subcommittee on this because I remember when it came up regularly that we wanted to make sure, want to be fair, but want to make sure that our local Springfield teams had access. And I guess that was hammered out here, so that's good. Now, if there's any questions or comments, I know Pat Roach and Ricardo Gabby up here too.
Just a comment, Mr. Mayor. I got an actually very fortuitous phone call this afternoon from a neighbor of Kylie who said, can you guys do anything about the people who are utilizing the field? When they leave, there's diapers,
Yeah, they leave.
bottles, and all this trash along the edge of the field. And what we do have in here is that if there is a cleanup, they're gonna be assessed that property. It's easy when they're using inside a building for the custodian to quickly go check. Maybe not so easy when they're outside, but if we could just make an effort to make sure
Yeah.
that after somebody uses those fields, we do check.
Yeah.
And if they're leaving them in that kind of condition, this was a neighbor that was very just said, it's happening all the time.
Wow.
Good to know.
And then they'll be put on notice at that point in time, which will, if they have to further use the fields or something like that, or if not,
And it is in the plan.
put it in the
So just,
lost, yeah.
I have a question.
Vice Chair Naylor?
What is the situation with some of the school buildings where they're being blocked from anyone being able to reserve them? I know that we got a memo from Putnam about Putnam. And I've also heard that that's not just the case at Putnam, but other schools as well. So if we're having this process where folks are supposed to be able to reserve the space, but then the space is being blocked out by the schools that other people cannot use it, isn't it
Yeah, so,
defeating the purpose?
Mr. Chairman, if I could jump in, we had that as a discussion item at our Building and Maintenance Subcommittee, and I asked for clarification from Mr. Roach and his team and Madam Superintendent, and I did see the communication as it relates to Putnam's Field. And the clarification is that as far as I'm concerned, you know, this is the permitting authority, 1550 Main Street, and to ensure that it wasn't going to be every individual school. And I've also asked for a list to verify on one particular high school that blocks out all summer long, you know, all the days of the week, saying that they're utilizing it. And I've asked for a detailed schedule in place because it defeats the purpose, as you said, Ms. Naylor, to provide access to some of our state-of-the-art facilities, to some of our community groups. When a school administration is saying, we're going to block out usage from 6 a.m., I'm just throwing out hours, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and nobody else can use it. In other words, to kind of hold the control there. They're not the permitting authority, and or allowing third-party entities to use it during the times that they're blocking off. Because again, we've got certain provisions within this permitting policy that they're being bypassed by doing that. So I've asked Madam Superintendent for a whole lot of clarity on that. I know you and your team are going to get back to the school committee on these detailed hours for some of these schools that are saying, we're using the field all summer long. What are you guys doing on the field at 6 a.m.?
No, that's a good point, Mr. Gonzalez. And I know when we did the redo of the central field some years ago, and of course, the Ted coach, Ted Plumfield Duggan, which I was there Saturday. And I know I did mainly on with my city side money, but just because ESSER funds were used on Putnam, there still should be some opportunity, opportunities follow through in conjunction, because they coordinate with the school too, that they should be able to use the field on it, because it's supposed to be a community field. And again, we have such a multitude of events now in for the community. So I'm glad that's going to be clarified. I know ESSER funds were used, and in the other cases, I used city funds to make that happen, but maybe we get some clarification. They can work with the school, they can work the principal.
However, I have, as a former principal,
Yeah.
I have to give the counterpoint
Yeah.
that our school buildings are for school children primarily.
Yeah.
So
They come first.
the principal should always be able to say that we've got PTO, we've got this, we've got that
That's
going
the
on.
problem. Yeah,
They shouldn't be greedy.
Yeah.
From what that sounds like,
Yeah.
that shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But we always need to defer to the educational purposes, and that being allowed to only the school make that.
under proper procedure and whatever the cost is on it, but there should be some type act, but the kids of the school, they come first.
And Mr. Chairman, just to clarify for the public's knowledge, I want to be clear that the intent again was to offer access, and we voted on this in the past, to groups that traditionally did not have access to facilities and fields, but also there's balanced provisions within the permit policy for those that are not going to be good stewards of those spaces, that they will not be able to
Won't be
use
allowed.
SPS property in the future. I mean, this is not a free-for-all either. So there's balance. We're giving folks what we believe is, hey, here's some free facilities we have here. We want to get youth and young adults off the street, great positive programs within some great parameters. So there's been a lot of work and thought put into this policy.
Now you spent a lot of time on that, so,
Mr. Mayor. I have
yes,
one more
Vice Chair Neely, yeah.
The rates that we have listed in here. So if we are giving the space, making it available to folks that are serving into organizations, which is what I see here, so there's clarification. How do these rates apply then, to folks? Because I know one of the major complaints that I received from 3 or 4 entities that reached out to me a few weeks ago was that the cost that they were going to incur was actually more than what they would have paid before under their previous provision, because of the way that the rates are outlined, so that the things that they have to pay for anyways. So can you
Yeah,
clarify
can
that
you
for me?
clarify, I know the improvement.
That shouldn't be the case. So if you have a specific example, I'm happy to follow up and address that.
I'll share it with you after.
So the school committee previously approved the updated permit policy with the requests that you asked for. This most recent update, the 2 biggest changes was we removed the nonprofit and for-profit with youth, because we realized that a whole bunch of groups who one would assume are nonprofit actually don't have official nonprofit
No.
status. And my understanding of the committee's desire is that people that are serving our kids, we want to make sure they have access to these fields. I've rented gyms before to take kids from the neighborhood to play basketball. So I didn't have nonprofit status or insurance. And we updated the insurance waiver process for that exact same reason, to just clarify both of those. As far as the rates go, what we had previously changed was the yearly usage fees for now it's all Springfield serving youth is zero. So it used to be $125 per year. There also used to be hourly rates for Birdie Field, and some of the other fields on, that are actually on the back page. And if you look, they're all zero now. What didn't change, as Mr. Gonzalez pointed out in, our subcommittee, is anytime we have to have, a separate, staff come and manage this. So if there's custodian setup or cleanup, if there's sound and lighting technicians, if somebody's using an auditorium, if cafeteria staff have to be there or security, we have that additional cost and we would need to be reimbursed for it.
Okay, so the groups that are not youth serving would fall under the Springfield nonprofit, Springfield for-profit, or non-Springfield groups. They have a different set of requirements, but if it's a group serving youth, which to your point,
Springfield,
Springfield youth,
Springfield youth.
that is very helpful, because to your point, there's a lot of people that are doing great things with our kids, and they have an LLC just to make sure they can have insurance and things, but they don't. A 501c3 is a very big thing to manage and keep that going, so I understand, and I appreciate this, so thank you.
Thank you, Vice
that
Chair.
clarification.
Mr. Clerk, could you
I have
please
one more question.
just recognize, Ms. Hurst has joined us.
Oh, she's in the waiting room. They didn't let her in yet.
Don't ask me.
Yes,
Yeah. Can we? She's in, okay.
Mr. Roach, the last question that I have is, with this being said, that we now will not require folks to pay, how are we sustaining this financially?
we built, the manager who manages this, her position into the general fund. We also built some additional costs into the, custodial budget, as far as some of the staffing and, we had previously been using the money to recondition the turf fields and things like that. That's why we charge the hourly rate for the turf. But now we built that into our operating budget.
Okay, thank you so much. That's it.
We did, if you recall, we had that discussion during the budget setting process that it still costs money. Where are we getting it from? And we allocated money in the budget to do it so that the groups, they're serving kids. And a lot of them don't have any money. So we did make the decision at that time to absorb the cost. So
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Any other questions or comments?
Some, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Motion made by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Attorney Murphy. Roll call vote is required. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Attorney Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
yes,
Ms. Gresham, absent, Ms. Hurst,
Yes.
Ms. Bruno Naylor,
Yes.
Mayor Sarno.
Yes, four to zero votes, matter passes. Thank you. G is to approve a request for school committee that Yanaris, and if I pronounce it wrong, my apologies, Andino, be awarded a City of Springfield diploma. I know Dr. Yolanda Johnson is here. And I have to say, we had I ended up doing like 10, but 8 fantastic high school graduations at the Symphony Hall. Great crowds and family and students. And then at the Conservatory of the Arts, and then we'll do summer school in August, but it was fantastic. The kids are really, really respectful. Superintendent, Dr. Null, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we have 4 candidates who have met the requirements set forth by the school committee to receive a City of Springfield diploma. We congratulate them and we wish them well as they go on their journey. The first individual is, as you stated, and please forgive me, Ms. Adino, if I pronounce your first name incorrectly, Yaniralise
Oh,
Andino.
you're right. Any questions or comments?
So moved and
And-
congratulations.
Motion made by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Vice Chair Naylor. Roll call vote is required. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Attorney Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
yes, and congratulations.
Ms. Gresham, absent, Ms. Hurst,
Yes.
Ms. Bruno Naylor,
Yes.
Mayor Sarno.
Yeah, more than sufficient votes, matter passes. Congratulations, Ms. Andino. H is to approve the request to the school committee that Veronica Mary Dos Rios Palino will be awarded a City of Springfield diploma. Again, Dr. Yolanda Johnson's here, our superintendent.
So move, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Motion, motion made by Vice Chair Naylor, second by Mr. Gonzalez. Roll call vote is required. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Attorney Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Collins.
Yes.
Ms. Gresham, absent. Ms. Hurst.
Yes.
Ms. Renault Naylor.
Yes.
Mayor Sarno.
Yes, board is official vote, this matter passes. Congratulations, Ms. Rios Paulino. Vote, I is a vote to approve the request school committee that Monet Teresa Blue be awarded a City of Springfield diploma. Again, Dr. Johnson is
So
here.
move, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Vice Chair Naylor made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Attorney Murphy. Roll call vote is required. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Attorney Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Collins.
Yes.
Ms. Gresham, absent. Ms. Hurst.
Yes.
Ms. Renault Naylor.
Yes.
Mayor Sarno.
Yes, board is official vote, this matter passes. Congratulations, Monet. J is a vote to approve the request for school committee that Jordan Ali Jones be awarded a City of Springfield diploma. Again, Dr. Johnson's here.
So move, Mr. Mayor.
Motion made by Vice Chair Naylor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Collins. Roll call vote is required. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Attorney Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Collins.
Congratulations, Jordan. Yes.
Ms. Gresham, absent. Ms. Hurst.
Yes.
Ms. Renault Naylor.
Yes.
Mayor Sarno.
Yes, board is official vote, this matter passed. Congratulations, Jordan. K is a vote to approve the process and timeline for the superintendent's evaluation. I know that Attorney Melissa Murray is online. Through Superintendent, well, she really can't count. Trying to work you in there. Attorney Murray.
Hi, good evening. Hello, everyone. So we did discuss this in the Legislative and Contract Subcommittee earlier. And so the subcommittee voted to recommend to the full school committee that the evaluation timeline and process it's similar for this year as to how it's been done in the past with a few small modifications. One, goals need to be set for the superintendent. That piece has not been finalized yet, and so the subcommittee did vote to recommend that the chair and vice chair work with the superintendent to set goals for this school year, this past school year that we're evaluating the superintendent on, and to do those over the summer to come up with
By the end of July,
the
right?
end of July. That's right. Yes, sir. So by the end of July, so that the superintendent then has adequate time to put together, to present to the full committee at the beginning of next school year. The subcommittee is not setting specific dates yet in terms of when that presentation will take place, but at the August 21st school committee meeting, we will get an update on certain information from the superintendent and set dates at that time. It will likely result in an adjustment to the meeting calendar, probably putting on a special meeting for that presentation.
Thank you, Attorney Murray. And again, Superintendent Denal's doing a fine job, but she's new. She just started, so this process, we've done it for years, gives her time to reach the goals and then can report on the goals that have been achieved and initiatives, and then we go from there. And that's good. Thank you for something.
Vice Chair, did we decide that it was Jeremy that would do the correlation?
We did not. That's something
Yeah.
that we had to finalize here with the
Okay.
body. So normally it was Attorney Phelps, but one of the suggestions that Attorney Murray said is it doesn't make sense for us to pay them to do that. But if we wanted to assign either our clerk or our executive assistant, and then Mr. Collins asked, what about Attorney St. Brown? She said either or is fine, whatever we agree to.
In-house, that goes to when the evaluation is completed and kept unlocked. Yeah, that's fine. Any other questions? Everybody okay with it?
So I would recommend that it be Attorney St. Lawrence.
Okay.
I just don't think it's fair. St. Lawrence. I'm sorry.
We
Oh,
do have
we got a St. Lawrence behind me here too. Just because it's an awful lot to put on Trini, quite honestly, doing that correlation, and he can work with them to learn the process if he wants, but I'm not sure he wants to learn, so.
I think that would be appropriate to have Attorney St. Laurent, as we've done before.
May I ask a question, Mr. Mayor? I'm sorry, I don't know if
Sure.
you can see my
Ms.
hand is
Hurst.
raised.
Yeah, go ahead.
So while I don't have a issue with Attorney St. Laurent doing it, typically it has been done by the school committee's council. And in the past, our school committee's council has been independent. And so now St. Laurent, doesn't Attorney St. Laurent report to the superintendent? So would it be fair to ask him to collate or to be a part of his potential or his supervisee's evaluation process?
Well, he's just gonna keep lock and key. I don't know if you want to, school committee now
Or
has. its own
perhaps maybe the
attorney-
better
attorney
question is,
chief.
what would be his role? What would be the exact charge or responsibility that we're asking for him to take on?
So the responsibility that you'd be asking him to take on is, after the superintendent presents, makes a presentation and gives the evidence that she has supporting the goals that she, have been identified. School committee members are going to get a summative evaluation report form that will be filled out by each member of the school committee. And then those then get submitted to an individual. So in the past, it was Attorney Phelps. We are capable and able to do this if that's something that the school committee wants, but it is also common to have an executive assistant or administrative assistant to a school committee to do the compilation of that. So that's why I thought that I recommended it as a means of maybe saving some resources for the school committee. But I do see the point that's being made about a potential conflict. But so the public records, the Attorney General's office has recommended that normally that compilation be done by someone who is not a member of the public body. So it would not necessarily be a school committee member. That's why oftentimes it's done by an executive assistant. And so they take the individual school committee members' evaluation reports and compile them into an aggregate or a master evaluation document, and then it's that document that is discussed at the public meeting.
Thank you.
You, Ms. Hurst, okay with that?
Yes, I'm okay with it in this moment. It sounds like we have an opportunity to have further discussion as it comes closer.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments, Mr. Gonzalez?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Attorney Murray, item K is to approve the process and the timeline. So to the last speaker's point, this is the conversation for the vote. We're not gonna have this conversation again. Is that correct, Attorney Murray?
So one of the process pieces was identifying how we're going to finalize and formalize the goals for the evaluation process. And so what the subcommittee discussed and is being recommended to the full committee is that it would be the chair and vice chair working with the superintendent. So that's one process piece. And then in making sure that we're going to follow and use the evaluation process model, the summative evaluation form that's put out by DESE. So that piece is also part of the recommendation in terms of the summative evaluation, that it has the meets the DESE standards in terms of the report form that's being filled out. So that's another piece of the process that's being recommended. The timeline for finalizing the goals by July, the end of July, that's a piece of the timeline in the process. So the conversation about who actually compiles that, it could be a part of this, or you could defer that for later at that
Okay.
August 21st meeting.
Yeah, and the reason that I'm asking you about the processes and timeline is I don't think any of us have an attachment in our packet about what that looks like. So it's a little bit ambiguous as to what we're
Yeah.
voting on specifically as it relates to the process, because it sounds like that some of the major points have been taken care of and there's consensus around them. But on the details in terms of who's submitting, who's compiling that data, that's still missing. Again, there's no attachment in which we're voting on. So that's very ambiguous at this point, aside from the minutes that'll be recorded here this evening. So with that being said, Mr. Chairman, I would just make the recommendation that our legal counsel be the one to compile the summative evaluation for the superintendent due to the potential conflict that my colleague identified.
I'm sorry, if I might just say.
Go ahead,
When you
Attorney
say
Murphy.
counsel, you're talking about Ms. Murray?
Yes.
Ms. Murray or Attorney Keefe?
Yeah.
Okay, how's, discussion? How's the school committee feel on that, members?
I mean, if you remember, I think the objection the last time, you weren't here, Attorney Murray, but there was hesitation to have
They want to,
Melinda Phelps, Attorney Phelps, have control over the superintendent's selection process because of the fact that she worked potentially for Mr. Warwick. And I think it was mostly, I didn't have a problem with Attorney Phelps handling it, and I don't have a problem with Attorney St. Laurent handling it either, but it was a problem last time. So if we're going to continue with that, like you just suggested, I mean, maybe that is the right move, but personally, I'm okay with either attorney handling it.
Yeah, and Mr. Chairman and Attorney Murphy, so am I. I just want to avoid any appearance of anything. So I think if we have legal counsel already on a retainer, let's use them.
well, if we're going to stay consistent, again, I didn't have any issue with Attorney Phelps handling it for years, but if we're going to stay consistent, that means that we should probably go with the school committee's attorney again.
Or we could go with Trin. I mean, also, I mean, I know you're saying you don't want to put too much on him.
I
He's
think-
perfectly capable of filing the data.
I think we should stay consistent with the, I know this is no disrespect to Trini or Attorney St. Laurent. We should probably stay consistent with I see Jeremy shaking his head too on it. And I know there's a couple of reasons why you're shaking your head there. Yeah. Okay, so
Mr. Mayor.
Vice Chair Nelly,
And part of the reason why we did not vote to solidify that in subcommittee, that was one of the things that we did not solidify because we wanted to give the body the opportunity to weigh in on that piece. So all of the other parameters, as you mentioned, Mr. Gonzalez, were pretty much the consensus, and we felt everyone would probably be on the same page. But the matters that we were feeling like it would be a conversation around, we wanted to make sure we didn't finalize it. So when we did make the motion, which Attorney Murray did speak to, that's why it did not include who the direct individual would be.
so thank you, Vice Chair. So we probably, if the school committee's in agreement, we should probably stay consistent and kick it to whether Attorney Murray or Attorney Keefe. With this,
Just whether you want it or not, I guess, is what we're saying.
Happy to do it, absolutely.
Wonderful.
okay,
Thank you.
so we have an agreement on that. That's part of the process. So is there a motion to?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I may say one
sure.
more thing. I also wanted to state too that we do apologize for the quickness of this happening. A couple of weeks ago, I was talking to Attorney Keefe about the superintendent's evaluation, and when he and Attorney Murray started to do the research, they said, you all have to have a meeting before June 30th to finalize at least this aspect of it. So I know it felt rushed that we had to vote on this so quickly, and it wasn't necessarily a presentation to provide to you all, but that is why it was a matter of, this is our last meeting of the year and wanted to make sure that we
No,
felt fine with our
we're good. No, yeah, no, perfectly correct. If there's no other questions or comments or motion on the floor,
I'll make the motion.
motion by Attorney Murphy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Naylor. Roll call vote is required. Attorney, please call the roll after you made the notation that we'll have with Attorney Murray or Attorney Keefe on the evaluation put together. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Attorney Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Collins.
Yes.
Ms. Gresham, absent. Ms. Hurst,
Yes.
Ms. Monroe Naylor,
Yes.
Mayor Sarno.
Yes, board is official votes matter passes. Thank you to the subcommittee for your work on that. L is a vote to ratify the Springfield Education Association teachers a memorandum of agreement regarding successor contract. And I know the superintendent Denault and Patrick Roach are here. Any questions or comments?
If I may.
Yes, Dr.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to applaud and commend the, excuse me, the bargaining team that represented the Springfield, School Committee. They did an excellent job completing this, working diligently, several hours, sacrificing time that they could be spending with their families to sit at the bargaining table and to work to ensure that we arrived at a contract that showed our value for Unit A members, our respect for Unit A members, and making sure that we kept those lines of communication open for the well-being of our students. So again, I just wanted to thank them publicly. Each and every team member did a great job ensuring that they were respectful, they were patient, they listened carefully, they worked collaboratively, and they got the job done.
Thank you, Superintendent Denault. And again, I'd like to say that too from Attorney Sean Sweeney and to the internal team, Pat Roach, Assistant Superintendent, Terry Posey and others that worked. And I also want to thank the SEA and Tracy and the whole crew there that we were able to, when you're negotiating, and I've been involved in this for many years, it always starts out like this, and then all of a sudden goes like this. So I think it's a fair and respectful contract for our educators and to the district and to the taxpayers, and we're just happy that we finally were able to get it resolved. So to all those involved, thank you, because I know you spent many hours when I would get the updates on it. So congratulations to all. Any other questions or comments?
I'll just
Attorney Murphy?
say something briefly. I just to echo the superintendent and you, Mayor, I just want to thank the bargaining team, Sean Sweeney and Pat, and all the folks, Terry, that were involved in it, and also the SEA. When you do collective bargaining, I think people walk away from the table and nobody's sort of happy, right? Nobody gets everything they wanted. And that's unfortunately the nature of collective bargaining, but I think we're all up here extremely happy that we were able to conclude this contract and have labor peace. It's incredibly important for our hardworking teachers. I myself had 4 children, all attended the Springfield Public Schools, and I can't tell you how great a job and great teaching that you guys provide for our children, for our young people. So I'm grateful that this contract is done, and I just want to say thank you to the SEA and to our bargaining team for the hard work that you did to get it done.
Thank you, Attorney Murphy. And that comes from his expertises and labor on that. So thank you, Attorney Murphy. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, there's a motion on the floor.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Collins, or second.
Second.
Second by Attorney Murphy. Roll call vote is required. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Abstain?
Attorney Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Ms. Gresham, absent, Ms. Hurst.
I have to abstain as well, but if I could just say I echo the sentiments of all of my colleagues, and I'm very excited that we were able to bring this to fruition. Congratulations.
Thank you, Ms. Hurst.
Ms. Renault Naylor,
Yes.
Mayor Sarno.
Yes, more than sufficient votes, matter passes. Congratulations to all. Thank you. M is a vote to ratify a memorandum of agreement with the Springfield Federation of Paraprofessionals regarding para-educator training program. And I know Patrick Roach is here and Attorney Jeremy St. Laurent on that. I'll turn that over to Superintendent Dr. Denault, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. As we all know, the president of the Federation of Paraprofessionals has just been extremely collaborative and always very supportive. We always are able to achieve our goal of ratifying every contract that they have in a timely manner. So we really appreciate that ongoing collaboration. And we all know our paras are indispensable. We value them, appreciate them, and we're grateful for this contract.
Thank you, Dr. Denault. And I know that I think it's the next item, the the pipeline training program we've had. I think
Yep.
we're nearing 3 digits on it, nearly 100 that have worked hard as paraprofessionals, and we funded now they become teachers, and that's fantastic, doing that. I don't know if there's any other questions or comments. I thank Catherine Mastronardi and the negotiating team too. We always have a soft spot for our paraprofessionals. Any other questions or comments?
So
No, I'll
moved.
make, oh,
Okay, motion by Vice Chair Naylor, is there second?
I'll take a
Second by Attorney Murphy. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Abstain?
Attorney Murphy.
yes.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Ms. Gresham, absent, Ms. Hurst,
Yes.
Ms. Renault Naylor,
Yes.
Mayor Sarno.
Yes, four to sufficient vote, the matter passes. Congratulations, Doc. Thank you. Now, to piggyback that, N is a vote to ratify the memorandum of agreement with the Springfield Federation of Paraprofessionals regarding long-term substitution rate, because many have to continue to pitch in there again. Patrick Roach and Attorney Jeremy St. Laurent are here, and I'll turn that over to Superintendent Dunal, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. As you already stated, we do have a fair number of our paraprofessionals who have stepped up, gone the extra mile, and stepped in when we have a vacancy for a teacher. We want to ensure that they are compensated in a manner that is respectful. So therefore, the need for the approval of this particular MOU or MOA.
And thank you to the subcommittee members also on that. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Attorney Murphy, second.
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Naylor. Roll call vote is required. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Abstain?
Attorney Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Collins.
Yes.
Ms. Gresham, absent, Ms. Hurst,
Yes.
Ms. Renault Naylor,
Yes.
Mayor Sarno.
Yes, more than sufficient votes, the matter passes. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, just a comment. I don't want anybody in the public to interpret abstain
Oh, yeah.
as Mr. Gonzalez or Ms. Hurst
Yeah.
had to. Some people interpret an abstention as a negative and that they're angry about it and they don't want it.
Not at all.
They just don't want they might have family members who might be affected and they don't want to appear to be a conflict.
That's right.
They appreciate all the members of these committees just as much as the rest of us. And I don't want anybody
No.
interpreting an abstention as a negative.
Yeah. Thank you for clarifying
Thank you,
that. That's what exactly what on that. O has been O has been tabled right now. That will be brought back up, a little more clarification, but it'll be brought back up to move affirmatively on. So O is tabled. Presentation, section 4. State Representative Williams, buddy, got a hold of me. He was unable to attend tonight. He's very, very appreciative of the Putnam Vocational Technical High School basketball court being named after him. So he sends his regrets tonight. Please go to section 5, informational discussion items. A is student activity funds memo. Patrick Roach is here, but I'll turn that over to Superintendent Dr. Dunal, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. So this did pass subcommittee to be presented to you all. It was the wisdom of the will and the will of the school committee to ensure that we provide an annual update as to the status of the district student activity funds. You'll be happy to know, as we are not surprised, that all things are in order. Training has been provided. The city maintains one checking account for all of these funds. Standardized forms have been created over the years to ensure the proper deposit and disbursement of these funds, and there are no student activity accounts in deficit as of June 2025.
Thank you, Superintendent Dunal. Is there any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. We'll now move to reports of standing committees, and a lot of the committees have done a lot of work. Appreciate that. A is student and parent concerns. Ms. Gresham, again, she is under the weather. Barbara, we hope you're feeling better, and she sends her regrets. B is Building and Maintenance Committee, Mr. Gonzalez.
We dealt with all the
Yes.
pending matters.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none. C is Legislative Contracts Committee, Vice Chair Monroe Naylor.
We've addressed all items.
Yes. Any questions, comments? Okay, hearing none. D is Curriculum Programs Committee. Ms. Hurst, please.
Mr. Mayor, I believe you all might have addressed it while I was waiting in the waiting room. It was the new course offering at
Oh,
Renaissance
yes,
School.
we did. Thank you for all your work on the
No,
subcommittee on that.
no No problem. Thank
Any
you.
questions or comments on that? Okay, hearing none. Budget and Finance Committee, Vice Chair Naylor.
All items have been addressed.
Thank you, Vice Chair Naylor. Any questions, comments? Hearing none. F, Vocational Education Committee, Mr. Gonzalez.
No reports, Mr.
Thank
Mayor.
you. G is Technology Committee, Mr. Collins.
No report at this time,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor.
H is School Safety Committee. Again, Ms. Gresham is under the weather, and again, Barb, hope you feel better. There's no report there. I is Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. Ms. Hurst, please.
No report at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. The student representative, that'll come down the road as we move into a new school year. And now we'll go to a report of the superintendent. Superintendent Dr. Denault, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. So in your packet, you have the memo on contracts report for the month of May 2025. You can see a list of all of the contractors for that month. We also have in our packet an annual report of school resource officers and mental, social, and emotional health support personnel data. This is a requirement from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Ed according to GLC 71, paragraph 37P. We are required to provide this information. It has already been submitted. Everything has been completed according to DESI regulations. And this is just to ensure that we are providing support for social emotional learning to ensure that our students receive all the behavioral support as well as self-regulation support that they need in order to be able to access the curriculum and maintain in the classrooms and be good citizens of their school environment.
Thank you, Dr. Denault. Any questions of Superintendent Dr. Denault?
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Vice Chair Naylor, sure. Go ahead.
The annual report for the SROs, the line item that talks about the number of officers that include district and ZEP, do they reimburse those or pay for that service?
I'm gonna
Yeah.
ask Pat Roach to answer that question for us.
Thank you. Yes, the empowerment zone pays for their.
Okay, so this is a line item and then whatever they need, they pay for.
Yes.
They- Okay, good. That's it.
Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
I
Gonzalez.
do have a comment on the matter. I think this is great for the public's knowledge, to understand that, $56 million, about, what is it, 55 million of those dollars is all non-police related services for children in our school department, because there is a notion out there that we're funding at extraordinary amounts, police in our schools and all these things. You know, we're looking at, again, for the public's knowledge, $56 million to support
Council.
our children in Springfield Public Schools. And of that, only $1 million
Yeah.
goes to our public safety officials in our schools. So I think that's an important highlight to make for the public. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No, thank you for highlighting that, Mr. Crowe. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Unfinished business? Hearing none. New business? Hearing.
Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Gonzalez.
I'm sorry.
You're almost there. You're almost done. Plus, we went to O tonight.
Yes.
Went all the way to O. I think that we've never gone
I
as
just
far
wanted
as O.
to plant the seed as we conclude this school year on an idea that I had offered up on how we deal with the empowerment zone transition and potentially establishing an ad hoc committee or a standing subcommittee to drive that work. I think that's critical. I think we need all hands kind of on that. I think we need some experienced folks that can really spearhead that in collaboration with our superintendent from the committee side. So
Thank you. And I think that new position that is going to be coming up very shortly, again, just a couple clarification, is going to be very instrumental in that and providing guidance with the school committee members on it. So thank you on that.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Vice Chair Naylor.
I would like to ask Attorney Keith to better state this, and I would try to repeat it. But we did have a conversation around why or why not we can do a ad hoc committee versus what have you when it relates to that because of the way our policies are written. Can you state that for everyone?
So in the policy manual, there are two types of subcommittees. There's this general subcommittee that we had established at the initial meeting, and then there's the advisory committees. And the subcommittees are made up of school committee members. An advisory committee can be school committee members, and then outside members, so members of the administration. So that might be helpful. And I think what that really means is like an ad hoc committee. So we discussed potentially putting together an advisory committee as opposed to just creating a different subcommittee only comprised of school committee members. This way we could put administrative members on the advisory committee to help with that transition process.
Is there, just a quick comment on, Vice Chair Naylor, what she had stated. Is there a opportunity within the existing subcommittees that we have that this can be taken? Because every school committee member can avail himself to that subcommittee.
I just don't, the question, I think that how this rate or was brought up is what subcommittee that we have now would this fit under? And I think you could really fit it under, there's an argument you could fit under any of the subcommittees because they're all would work, they all touch upon what that would need, that they'd have to look through when discussing how the transition would take place. So, we could put it under a subcommittee that we have, one of the standing committees now, subcommittees, or we could create an advisory committee where we're putting other members of the administration or anybody, kind of shareholders or stakeholders would want to.
But I'm just saying under the subcommittee with the respected chairs, the administration are sort of folded into that too when an issue or something or initiative comes across, no?
I'm sorry.
When the subcommittee members, such as, let's say, Budget and Finance, with Vice Chair Naylor, obviously, Pat Roach is there, as part of that to clarify any things or bring up updated information. So I'm just wondering if it comes under one of the already established subcommittees.
Well, I think we could put it on one.
Which every member can come to those meetings too.
Right.
Would that be like legislative and contracts, maybe?
It could be, I think.
Or you could do
fine.
joint
Like
with budget.
you probably, I don't know, you probably would need a joint,
You want
but
to,
we can discuss. I just wanted to piggyback.
Mr. Chairman, the only reason that I would perhaps suggest that it not go into one of the standing committees is because I don't think any of us know the intensity of that work and what that's going to look like. Maybe that group's going to meet bi-weekly. Maybe that group's going to meet just once a month. And I think everybody has a pretty jam-packed schedule. I think if we had a couple members that really wanted to roll up their sleeves and get involved in this, I think we should give them the opportunity to do so. So I just, another note, but I just wanted to sow the seed now as we close out the school year that we need to look to this. That's all.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor, if I could comment?
Mr. Collins, yeah.
An ad hoc committee would be members of just the school committee. My problem with creating an advisory committee is the issue is a policy issue. And having voting members who aren't elected school committee members doesn't sit with me well.
It's gotta be.
It's a policy issue which should only be the elected members of the school can be voting on it. Unless the advisory committee has members who are non-voting members, which is the point I think you were trying to make. We always bring in administration and the superintendent to advise us during meeting. But any meeting that is going to set policy members should be the school committee members.
So,
If I could just respond.
Keith?
The advisory committee wouldn't be the advisory committee would make a recommendation to the full committee. The full committee would then make the final vote, just to clarify that.
But if the advisory committee is voting, that's,
Right, correct.
yeah.
Yeah, that's.
May I interject? When I get a chance.
Go ahead,
Mr.
Ms. Hirsch.
Chairman?
Go ahead.
So I mean, I hear both sides, and Chris and Peter, I think we were around for this. Why can't we do something similar to when we had the level 4 schools? Remember we had committees that I believe it was Lydia Martinez used to run, and we were all put on different committees. We were put on turnaround, we were put on whatever the different categories were, and we were all assigned to different schools. And those committees were comprised of both staff, one of the school committee members, and I think some community folks. Like we've done it before. And I also think, to Mr. Gonzalez's point, we do need to be really open-eyed around, like, what is the charge of this particular committee or advisory group? Like, what are we asking them to do? And what might that time commitment look like? Because it all sounds really good in theory, but then in application, folks are not available.
And
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, Mr. Collins?
the committees that Mrs. Hirsch is referring to were committees that developed the plan that the school were going to use to try to create improvement. Those were actually required by the state, and all that participation was required as well. But they weren't like just dealing with a policy issue. They were creating a plan. Those level 4 schools, what's your plan for getting out of level 4? And we had all the stakeholders involved. And yeah, we did sit on them, but we were one member of usually 30 or 40 people.
And then you can't, once you start getting to those big numbers, a lot of times, it's difficult to,
But they worked well because
Yeah.
all 10 of those elementary schools came out of
Yeah, I was
status.
gonna say,
but I mean,
when Ms. Hurst was talking about it,
it's time,
she is right, that
time consuming.
the process did work, yeah.
You gotta have members.
Time consuming. Mr. Chairman, I just want to make sure my colleague is heard. Did you say you wanted to chair that?
I mean, it's a good point that Mr. Gonzalez brought up. I mean, I don't know, Superintendent Dr. Denal has any, comments at all on this too.
I am open to the suggestions and past practices or whatever it is that brings us into compliance with the law, the policy that we currently have in Springfield Public Schools, and looking forward to collaboratively coming up with a design and a model that would allow these schools to transition smoothly back to our management system.
Well put. Any other questions or comments on?
Make a motion to
I
adjourn.
did.
I did, Mayor.
So he made the motion and.
Well,
Because I'm
Doc
supposed
first,
to
you-
talk
she
before I
was,
got cut
she
off.
was.
But it wasn't seconded.
I will.
Oh, wait a minute, time out before you do that here, yeah, so that was in the back, Dr. Null indicates the personnel data you received, and wait a minute, there was C, the 100-day report.
Yes, I just wanted to say that not spending too much time reflecting on my first year, but I am grateful for this amazing opportunity and the support that I continue to receive from everyone in this room as well as community members. I will be completing and submitting a 100-day report for your summer reading pleasure.
Something to read on the beach.
Absolutely, or in between golf swings, I don't know. So I will be submitting that to you before the end of July, just to give you an overview of all of the amazing things that the amazing team that I'm surrounded with have accomplished. And also just want to direct your attention to the belief chain that was created by our just dedicated, second to none administrators in the district. We did get together today for a first of its kind work session and professional development over at SciTech. And so far, the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. They're requesting that we continue to give them the time and space to work on joint projects, initiatives, and protocols that they need to develop in order for their schools to continue to grow and excel and for every student to continue to thrive. So when you get a minute, just take a look at that. And I don't know if Assistant Superintendent Terry Poe, who was very instrumental, as well as Senior Administrator Deanna Sumala, very instrumental in the high level excellent execution of our day to day. Again, the feedback was overwhelming. I have the best staff because I am the superintendent of the best district in the state of Massachusetts.
I'll just say quickly.
Is that from me or for Terry? I don't know.
Thank you. We had a great day, engaged in professional development. We started at 8, ended at 3:30. You are welcome to complete your own belief chain because you're a part of us. There are sentence strips outside of this conference room to just highlight a school, anything that you believe in, that you feel like you want to contribute. So every school in the district is represented there. We had principals and 2 thought partners that joined in to start working on the school growth plan for the incoming school year. So thank you for your time. We had a great productive work session today.
Thank you, Assistant Superintendent. Well, thank you, Carol. Vice Chair Neely.
So just really quickly, one of the things that I wanted to say regarding back to your question, Mr. Gonzalez, was that we cannot do an ad hoc committee in the middle of the year. We have to do it in come January when we do our whole process. So that was one of the reasons as well that we could not implement an ad hoc committee this time of the year. But I wanted to say, as far as the advisory is considered, that it doesn't have to be a policy related advisories. There's so many details to what needs to happen that are outside of policy that I don't think we want to be having our heads in. And some of those weeds that we wouldn't want to be the ones making the decisions on, because we have to think about how it's going to impact the staff. So I think it's very important that as we focus on it, however we decide to do it when we vote on it and plan it in the future, that we're very cognizant of having a structure in place that will allow for the superintendent to weigh in on how she can see it being beneficial to the district, what individuals should be a part of that process in addition to school committee members, just so that we're and it may be some teachers or whatever, some students, I don't know, whoever she's thinking, but I just want to make sure we're not in the mindset of wanting to just control the process where it really is going to be a lot of things that would not pertain to policy that could be hurtful to the transition and the growth that a lot of these schools that are coming back to us has experienced. And we don't know what those things are because we're not under the empowerment zone. So we don't know what policies, models, or anything that they have in place outside of what we get reported to us at the empowerment zone board meeting. So I just wanted to say that on record before we close out. That's all.
Thank you, Vice Chair Neely.
Where did it come from that you can't have an ad hoc committee?
There's I can't remember I had to pull up the policy manual. Policy manual states that the ad hoc, any additional subcommittees that aren't just the general standing committees need to be created at the organizational meeting. So the policy states. Unless you vote to suspend the rules, yes.
Oh, sure.
Chris,
We've been doing it for right along,
We did that with the superintendent search.
correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll hash it out. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Attorney Murphy. Roll call vote is required.
Wow. Mr. Gonzalez, you was.
Please call the roll.
Attorney Murphy.
one more thing I want.
Attorney Murphy?
Oh, yes. Collins,
Yes.
Ms. Gresham, absent. Ms. Hurst,
Yes.
Ms. Bruno Naylor, Mayor Sarno.
Yes, more than sufficient votes, this matter passed. And again, as I open, happy Juneteenth. We'll see you at the ceremonies tomorrow. Thank you to the Jubilee, Juneteenth Jubilee, last weekend. And again, to the students, their families, our staff, our teachers and administration. We wish you to have a great, fun, learning and safe summer. Thank you for watching. Good evening and God bless. Thank you.